Good evening. It's 9 p.m. here in Seoul. Thank you for joining us on Arirang South Korean President Yoon is in the Lithuanian capital of Vilnius to attend the annual summit of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. A day before he attends the session for partner countries, he's taking steps to ramp up Seoul's relations with NATO as well as countries on a bilateral level to cooperate on pressing global issues. Our presidential correspondent Soo-young is in Vilnius at the Korean Press Center to fill us in. So Soo-young, I understand the president had a busy morning upgrading South Korea's partnership with NATO.
Good evening, Jiyoung. Yes, that's right. President Yoon met with NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg on Tuesday morning to elevate the two sides' bilateral relations from a cooperation arrangement they had for the past 11 years to a new individually tailored partnership program. Now, this spans 11 areas of cooperation. First, the two sides have agreed to ramp up dialogue through regular working level as well as high-level meetings across diverse political and military affairs. They'll also increase joint counter-terrorism efforts and discussions on disarmament and non-proliferation. Other key areas include emerging technologies, namely artificial intelligence, space, missiles, and quantum technologies, along with cybersecurity. Now, building up capacity for cooperation and military interoperability are also vital, as are science and tech, climate change, and women's roles in global peace and stability, along with public diplomacy, which were all included in the document. Now, this is a higher and broader level of cooperation for a NATO partner country, and institutionalizing these focus areas are also key to addressing North Korea's nuclear threat, according to a senior Yoon official. Now, Mr. Yoon and Mr. Stoltenberg in particular, they discussed ways to ramp up information sharing as well, along with cyber defense cooperation, according to the presidential office.
Right, and those issues were certainly addressed when President Yoon met with U.S. officials earlier this morning. Do tell us more, Soo-young.
Right, so President Yoon met with 6 U.S. senators, including Pete Ricketts, Angus King, Dick Durbin, and Dan Sullivan, who are here as part of the U.S. Observers Group of the NATO Summit. The Korean presidential office says that the meeting reaffirmed the U.S. Congress's support for the 70th anniversary of the ROK-U.S. alliance this year and established greater understanding of Seoul's support for peace and reconstruction efforts in Ukraine. Now, we're looking to see whether Mr. Yoon will meet with President Joe Biden tonight, possibly at a banquet hosted by Lithuania for NATO partner countries. Now, the South Korean leader has hinted that he'd have various opportunities to catch up with Mr. Biden to address issues, primarily America's security commitment and trilateral security cooperation with Japan.
Right, so he'll undoubtedly be engaged in numerous diplomatic meetings. He's already had 3 before it was even lunchtime.
That's right. He was working up quite an appetite, I suppose, with all these bilateral summits. The president had a series of meetings this morning with the leaders of Norway, Portugal, and the Netherlands. Now, high on his agenda was ramping up global solidarity against North Korea's growing nuclear and missile threats and agreeing to strengthen joint efforts on peace and reconstruction efforts in Ukraine. With Norway, Seoul ramped up cooperation in research in the Arctic region and response to infectious diseases. Meanwhile, the Portuguese PM, Antonio Costa, said that he hoped to work closely with Korean semiconductor firms to join the value chain of the global supply chain. In response, President Yoon reportedly said that he would support smooth cooperation between the two countries' firms, as well as in other various fields, including digital tech, development cooperation, and people-to-people exchanges. Particularly when it comes to tech cooperation, South Korea and the Netherlands will join hands in a wide range of fields such as national defense and security, artificial intelligence, and of course semiconductors, as well as nuclear power plants.
Well, thank you for keeping us updated, Soo-young. Take care out there. That was our Soo-young in Vilnius traveling with the president.